idea, though, for the Democrats is they have a tougher task. Reproductive rights is a grievance issue, okay? That is a grievance issue. But other than that, it seems that they are trying to go the joy route, which is to play to the positive. That's harder, right? So what do they do with that? Especially when they have probably reproductive rights being their best galvanizing point, other than the ABT vote, anyone but Trump.
The opposite of a demagogue is a statesman or a stateswoman.
It's not a Greek word. It doesn't sound the same. It's multiple.
But
I like it.
well, Professor,
you really are something.
I do. I like it.
Professor,
he's going to play ball at Yale.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Before we have to do Thucydides up here, I will just say,
oh boy,
I will just say that number among independents that you saw that Connell pointed out, the skyrocketing of independents. So, and you and I have talked about this many times before, independent voters exist on a spectrum that is parallel to the Republicans and the Democrats. There are very conservative independents, there are very liberal independents, but what they have in common is that they don't throw in with either of the two major parties. But ideologically, they exist on a spectrum. So what you saw there was pent-up demands of independents who said, I don't want to vote for Donald Trump, but you're killing me with this guy. I got to have something else. I got to have something else. And when they delivered her, those independent voters, those left-leaning independent voters, are the ones who are pushing Harris over the top.
Yeah. Listen, I think that Kamala Harris has spoken a lot about reproductive rights and a woman's right in all of her speeches. And I don't think
that was one of the only things they put her out on the hustings about on a regular basis.
And I don't think reproductive rights is a grievance issue. I don't think women in this country look at it as a grievance issue. I think women in this country look at this as, you are taking something from me that is fundamental to my ability to say what happens to my own body.
Are they happy about it?
No, I'm just saying that when you say grievance issue, it just, you know, maybe it's a semantic thing. I'm quibbling. But there's a.
What does it feel like?
Small.
It sounds too small and petty and mean. Like you took it away from me. It's not. It's a much more fundamental issue, I think.
Of outrage.
Of deep violation.
Yeah.
That I think is driving many women to polls and men, because this is about reproductive freedom.
Why doesn't it show up higher in the preference polls, in your opinion? You think it's undersampled?
I think it's undersampled. I think if you look at the primaries and the things that have been on ballots, yes, it has driven voters to polls in deep red states where it has been overwhelmingly approved.
Oh, yeah.
I think putting it on the ballot in Arizona is going to be a huge issue for the Democrats, because it's going to bring out people who feel very strongly, maybe not about Kamala Harris, but they feel strongly about that measure.
Right.
And once they're there, they'll vote.
And Trump's
the thing about it is it's the same wherever you are regionally.
Yeah.
People, it's 55%, 60%. They want Roe back.
Right.
And the states will give it and take candidates in Arizona.
And Trump gave you the ad. Everybody wanted it to be overturned. Everybody's happy it's back at the states.
Nobody wanted it to be overturned, and nobody is happy with it now.
And that's the ad.
Yeah.
As an issue to persuade, it has some power to persuade, enormous power to motivate.
That's what I'm talking about. Right?
Connell's got data on it.
Okay.
I was just to follow up on Elizabeth's point there. You're talking about which states, because abortion's on the ballot in a number of states, but these three states in particular, and two that I would point out here, you look at Nevada and Arizona, are swing states. Florida is another one to look at, probably not obviously in the presidential race, but there's a key Senate race. Senator Rick Scott was on my show earlier today talking about that. They got to get to 60% on the amendment there. They're at about 56. It might not pass. But Arizona and Nevada are going to be interesting to watch. I'll just run through some quick things here on abortion just in history where we've seen it in the ballot. I think we remember that Ohio when they passed with 56%, making the right to abortion protected by the state constitution, then was defeated in Ohio with 57% against. But what we've really seen is a red-blue divide on this in the states that it comes up. So, for example, in the red states, when it was in Kansas, Kentucky, and Montana, these measures were defeated, 53% against, 52% against, 53% against. But when it's come up in blue states, they've passed California, Michigan, and Vermont. And to go back to where, we started on this, for this particular election, again, zero in here, on, these states over here, Nevada and Arizona, because they are swing states. Imagine how much, we don't need much of a margin, right, in Arizona. Nope. So if it drives turnout in a race that's literally less than a point right now, that could be a difference.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.